Hi everyone, this is Bonnie from Good Earth Spa, and my local grocery store had a sale on strawberries. So this is the time when I buy a bunch of strawberries and I stock up on my jams. So I went ahead and I bought a bunch of them. I actually bought 6, but of course we like some fresh strawberries, and I did chocolate covered strawberries earlier today for the kids with some homemade chocolates. These are peanut butter cups that I made today as well. I'm going to be making my strawberry jams. I like to make strawberry jam from scratch because I do not like purchasing jams with corn syrup, and when it says sugar on the label, you don't exactly know what kind of sugar it is, and beet sugar is genetically modified, so I prefer to avoid that. So I use cane sugar or organic sugar, and I also like to add honey. So it is really hard to find jams in the store that are sweetened with honey. So I just like to make my own, and it ends up being more economical and more healthy doing it that way. So I'm going to show you how I make my jams today. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove all of the stems and leaves from my strawberries, just leaving the whole berry, and I'm going to fill up this bowl. Now if you get a little bit of leaves in there, it's not a big deal. They're safe to eat, and some people say they also have medicinal qualities as well, so it's not a big deal. I eat strawberry leaves all the time. But for jams, I just like to take them off, and we'll fill up this bowl all the way. Okay, so now I have all of my strawberry tops taken off, and I'm just going to go give them a rinse and drain. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put all my strawberries into this bucket type container. You could also use a bowl. I was going to use this bowl, it just wasn't big enough, and I didn't realize how many strawberries I had. And the great thing about this recipe is that I'm going to cater to the amount of strawberries that you have, whether it's a small amount of strawberries or way more strawberries than I have right here. So I'm going to put them in here and I'm going to blend them up. Now I'm using a submersion blender because that's what I have. You can also use a stand-up blender, which is actually a little bit easier for this. What you want to do is get it into a liquefied puree. You don't need to add any water, but you can add a little bit of water if it's too hard to blend it. So I do not sell my jams right now. So this is just an instructional, but I may have use of a commercial kitchen soon, and if I ever get my certifications in order, then I'll post below if I ever do sell them. But right now I do not have jams for sale, so this is only a tutorial. Okay, I'm going to blend these up and I'll be right back. So this is my strawberry puree. This is what it looks like. Now you have to figure out how much you have. I have a little bit over 2 quarts, and then convert that into cups. I believe there are 4 cups in a quart, which would give me 8. We'll just say 9 because I'm a little over. The proportions that I like are 1/3 cup sweetener per 1 cup of fruit. So I'm going to use some cane sugar. Oops, wrong side. All right. I'm using 2 cups of sugar, and then I'm going to use some honey too. Okay, I'm a little bit over 2 cups, but I'm just going to make sure that the total is 3 cups. There's lots of different kinds of pectin that you can use to make jam, but not all of the pectins will allow you to double or half or triple your recipes. And that's why I like Pomona's pectin, because with Pomona's pectin you can double and triple and quadruple and so on your recipe without having a problem with your jelly setting. So I am using Pulmonas Pectin. If you can't find this in your grocery store or health food store, you can check online. Amazon has it and you can get it there. I'll post some links for those that need that. So with Pulmonas Pectin, for my recipe, what we're going to do, when you open this box, this is my open one, it's already open. There's going to be two pouches, a big pouch and a little pouch. So your big pouch has your pectin that goes in your sugar. So for every cup of fruit puree that you have, and you can use any berry for this, you want to add 1 teaspoon per cup if you want a very firm set jam, or half a teaspoon per cup if you want a looser set jam that's easier to spread. So I'm almost out. It looks like I'm going to have to open another one. But we have 1. Yes, I'm going to have to open my other one. And that's when it's brand new, so you can definitely get a few batches out of this. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to do 6 teaspoons for this batch. So that will give me somewhere in between that firm and loose, and not really loose, that's not the word, runny. Somewhere between firm and runny. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Another great thing too about Pulmonas Universal Pectin is that it doesn't expire. So you can have you can buy this stuff and you can have it for, you know, 10 years or longer before you use it. It'll be just fine. So just give it a mix through so that you mix up your sugar and your pectin. It doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously it's going to be chunky because I'm using lots of honey here. But you just want to get it mixed in. Okay, now you can leave your sugars and pectin aside. Now you have to add the calcium solution. When you buy and you open your Pulmonas Pectin, there's a smaller pack. The smaller pack has your calcium. It's a fine white powder, and you mix this in with water as per the instructions. I think it's, if I remember correctly, it's 1 teaspoon to 8 ounces of water. Half a teaspoon and half a cup of water. So I had the right proportions, I just had it doubled. Okay, so you have that in your water, and you can keep this in your refrigerator. And you're going to use the same exact proportions for your pectin as you are for your fruit. So since I put 6 in there, I'm going to put 6 in here. Now go ahead and transfer all of your strawberry puree into your stock pot. I'm using an 8-quart stock pot. Make sure that whichever size you're using, you give enough room for boiling up and bubbling, because sometimes it really raises up really high. Now we want to take this over to the stove and bring it to a boil. Stir your strawberry puree until it comes to a boil. You want to stir continuously throughout this whole process so that your strawberries don't get burnt and stuck onto the bottom. So now my strawberries just started to boil. It's at a rolling boil. A rolling boil is when you stir it and it still boils. So now it's time to add my sugars. Sorry if this is a little shaky here. I had to wear the camera. So you want to mix it all up again, break up all the chunks, and make sure it returns to a rolling boil. Also in the background, you can probably hear my dishwasher running. If you're going to be canning, you need to have sterile jars ready. If you're not going to be canning, you can put this in the freezer and it will keep fine in the freezer. If you don't have a dishwasher, another easy way you can sterilize your jars would just be using steam. So you would just bring some water to a boil and let the jars sit in there for a few minutes. So it is pretty steamy in here, and I'm not sure how clear you can see this, but it was at a rolling boil. I added the sugar, and then it was not at a rolling boil anymore. So I am going to return it to that nice, vigorous rolling boil. And it looks like I'm there, so now I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. And I'm going to stir. The whole time you want to stir, or else the bottom will get all burnt and it will affect the taste of your jam. Mess. In fact, this is boiling pretty crazy. I think I'm just going to turn down the heat just a little bit. Okay, now we can turn that heat off. Let it settle down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move it over here so that it can cool down a little bit. And also I need to put my canning kettle over here. Okay, so let me grab this camera here, which is clipped onto my shirt. Okay, got it. Look, there's a whole strawberry made it in over here. Whoever gets that on their sandwich is lucky. Okay, so with my warped spoon here, look, it's kind of bowed, but I just want to observe the viscosity of the jam to make sure that it's set. One way that you can do this is that you can cool some down. So because I used a little bit less pectin, I can see that I did, reach the gel point, but because I used a little bit less pectin, I just want to go ahead and test some of this before I go ahead and can it. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just taking a small amount into a little saucer. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for a few minutes. So now it's a few minutes later, and I took this time to just clean up all the berries I spilled, set up my canning kettle, and then also back here I have some water warming up so that I can warm up my lids. I'm going to be showing you how to use traditional metal canning lids today, and I'm also going to show you the method for using Tadler reusable canning lids. which are BPI free. So, back to this. Okay, so let's examine the jam. And you can see the consistency. It's a great consistency, so that's great. We're ready to can. And it tastes great too. Very fruity. Mmm. So now I'm going to use this canning funnel, and I'm going to fill up my jars. If you were entering these in the fair and needed them to be beautiful, you'd want it to be 1/4 inch from the top, which you can get a measuring tool from purchasing any canning kit that would also come with this funnel. But these are just for me, so I don't care how perfect they are. But that's pretty perfect. Okay. So this jar is not all the way full. I'm not going to bother canning it. I'm going to reuse one of my old standard canning jar lids to close this up, and I'm just going to put it right in the refrigerator and it'll be used next. But it is important to note that these metal lids are not reusable for canning. Once you use one for canning, you can't use it for canning again because your seal is not going to be it's not going to seal, or if it does seal, it's not going to be as strong. So what you can do is you can reuse these for storing dried goods or just capping a jar when you have something that you're currently using. So now I'm going to be canning these 4. Before I put the lids on, I just want to go around all of the top rims to make sure there's no sugar or anything on the rim, to make sure that you get a good, safe, strong seal. So do that, go around all of them and make sure that there is no sugar or jam or anything on just the top rim of the glass. This was the simmering water that I have these lids already pre-warmed up in. They do need to be hot whether you're using the traditional metal lids or the Tadler reusable canning lids. One other thing to note about the metal lids is they do have a lining of BPA or bisphenol A on the underside of the lid. So if that concerns you for safety reasons, that is a good reason to use the Tadler lids. So I'm going to go ahead and drain this out so I can get my lids out easily, and then place them on the jars with the rings. One good thing about the disposable lids is for when you want to give jams away as gifts. That's why I use both, but I do prefer Tadler. Okay, so if you're using Tadler, just screw it on gently. Don't over tighten. And with these also, just screw on tightly. I mean, not tightly. I'm missing one seal, so I have to make sure I didn't use 2 seals on one of these. Aha, look, I did. I used 2 seals, I only need 1. Okay. Uh-oh. And then look, I got sugar on the rim when I did that. So, but that's okay, I prepared extras. That's another good thing about Tadler canning lids, is that you can prepare some extras, and if you don't use them, it's no big deal. You didn't activate the gum. You just let them cool back down again. Okay. Okay, on gently. Now into the canner. This is a water bath canner. with a rack. All of your cans should be submerged. Lid, 10 minutes. My 10 minutes is now up. My jam is ready to come out. Now with these Tattler lids, when you take them out, as soon as you take them out, they need to be tightened down tight. And the reason why you do it this way is because they kind of vent out while they're canning, and then when you pull them out, you just want to make them really tight so no more air can come out or go in, and that way it'll make a really tight seal. And these, as they cool down and seal, they will make a popping sound, the button will go down, and you'll know that it's good. With these, you just kind of tug on them a little bit and you'll be able to tell if they are sealed or not. Just making sure that they're nice and tight. They're kind of hot, so I'm going over it again. I mean, they're hot, they just came out of boiling water. So I'm just making sure they're tight. All right. And then we'll see the jam here pretty soon. So here are my jams that I made. So I let this one sit overnight in the refrigerator. This is the one that I didn't can. So I'm just going to show you the jam. When the jam is properly set, you should be able to do this, and there's no running, so that's a great set on the jam. Let me grab a knife just to show you the consistency of this jam. It's a nice jam, but it's going to be easy to spread. So I want to taste some too, but I just want a little bit. It tastes very fruity. I like to use a lot less sugar than the jams that you typically find in the store, and I find that it brings out a lot of those fruity tastes. And I also like the honey taste in there as well, so it's very, very tasty jam. Just can't find jam this tasty in the store, so I have to make it myself. Okay, so these are the metal lids here. So on the metal ones, there's a button, and it goes pop when it's cooling down, and then you'll know that it's sealed. So there is the jam, and you can, if you give it a little tug, it does not come off. It's definitely on there, and you want to store them without the rings. That prevents rust and stuff like that. Okay, so I also usually like to clean them off just in case they're sticky at all. This one's a little bit sticky, but it's really on there. And in the same way, although these don't have a button, you can test them in the same way to see if they're on there. Just give it like a gentle little tug, and if it's not coming off, then it's on there, and you don't have to worry about it. Oh yeah, these are on there. In fact, they're on there so tight that I'm going to need a thing to, pop them off, like a can opener or something. If you want to put a fancy label, you can put a fancy label. If not, if they're just for you, then you can just store them. They'll keep for, I think, about 2 or 3 years, but they almost never last that long because it's so yummy. Okay, thanks for watching, and enjoy making your own jams. Hope I've been able to help. Bye-bye.